Degeneres as I live and breathe. I don't know why I talk like that. That's not my accent. Ellen! Wow. This is our very first conversation together, and I'm going to try to compose myself enough to form sentences because this video is not about me. I'm not even going to tell you my name because that's how irrelevant I'm going to be in this. I am here to talk about my college roommate, my teammate, and one of my best friends, Ashley Simmons. I have got to tell you this girl's story because it's just too unbelievable not to be shared. She has been dealt quite a tough hand in her life, and someone needs to hear about it. For starters, Ashley grew up on a small island in Maryland that you have probably never heard of called Hooper's Island. It is a place where just about everyone who lives there ends up skipping the whole college experience in order to become a waterman. While that life is incredibly admirable, it definitely was not the life that Ashley envisioned for herself. So, like the girl I have come to know and love, literally and figuratively, I guess you could say, her first step was that she started to run. She took up cross country in her high school and quickly made her way to the top to earn the nickname of Monster, and pretty much won everything that you can win in the small county that she was in. And she rose to become one of the fastest and well-known runners in the state. While doing that, she was also earning all A's, participating in every extracurricular activity that you can think of. And I forgot to mention that she was also battling chronic Lyme disease. So for most families, I would say having one person struggling with a chronic disease is enough. But in Ashley's case, as she does with most things, she outdid herself. And her entire family was suffering from chronic Lyme disease, including her two dogs. Now, I know there are all varying degrees of Lyme disease, but in Ashley Simmons and the Simmons family's case, it was about as severe as it gets. When Ashley was 8 years old, the entire town in Hooper's Island lined up outside of her door to say their goodbyes to her father, Dwayne, who was on his deathbed. He was about 400 pounds, had invested all of their money into his treatment to try and beat it with IV fluid treatments, but they weren't working, and the entire town lined up and to say their goodbyes. But then something I can only describe as a miracle happened. Ashley was 8 years old. She went into the room to say goodbye to her father and just kind of like held his hand and told him everything's going to be okay. You know, it's okay. We'll be all right. And then all of a sudden the numbers on his monitor got better, and the nurse who was with him was completely perplexed, and he just sat up. He said, "I'm feeling fine." And from then on, his numbers got better and better, and he started to recover, and he lost, over 100 pounds and started to provide for the family again ever since then, and saw her through to graduating high school. Even more astonishingly, Ashley went on to become salutatorian of her high school. She graduated with all honors, and she went on to be offered a spot on a Division I cross-country and track and field team of Towson University, which is where I met her. Throughout her college career, academically, she earned a 4.0 GPA. She participated in so many extracurricular activities that I can't even sit here and list them for you. Got on the record boards for the 5,000 meter, the 3,000 meter, the 10,000 meter runs. She was a 3-season athlete, all while trying to get into law school as well. I also forgot to mention that she was the first person in her family to leave Hooper's Island and go to college. So it was a huge feat in that. And from there, she also got offered a scholarship to the University of Baltimore Law School to continue her education. So not only was she the first in her family to go to college, she was the first in her family to continue her education past that. What I haven't mentioned yet is throughout her college career, she was getting treatment for her Lyme disease and then 2 other diseases of Bartonella and Babesia, which were viruses attacking her nerve cells in her brain. She would come on our 10-mile runs with us for practice, and she would just have to stop and vomit in the middle of it, and she would get it done, and then she would just get up and keep going, and she would finish the run. She had multiple spells of episodes where she couldn't get out of bed. She's the strongest person I know, but she literally could not get out of bed on some days due to the symptoms. And she was blowing through any money that she had to try and help herself get through this. Even through all of this, she ended up graduating from Towson University, cum laude, and captain of our cross-country team. She was ready to take on her next challenge of working to become a lawyer and graduating from the University of Baltimore Law School, where she wants to be a criminal lawyer to represent and give a voice to those who don't necessarily always have one. And through all of this, if you asked her today, she would tell you that her rock that got her through all of this was her father, Dwayne Simmons. If you're still watching this video, which I really, really hope you are, you must be wondering, why am I telling you so many great things about this girl? What could have gone wrong in her life? Well, I'm gonna tell you. So it wasn't until halfway into her second year of law school, in the thick of it actually, during finals, that the biggest of all bombs in her life got dropped. And I got a call from her, several calls from her, and the only thing that I can make out through horror-stricken sobbing cries were, "My dad's dead." My heart stopped. Before that, Dwayne had already beaten the worst of his Lyme disease, and there was no explanation as to why this should have happened. All she knew was that her mother came home for a lunch break from working at the crab factory and found her high school sweetheart face down on the floor and blue in the face, and despite her best efforts to revive him, there was no bringing him back. So just like that, 46-year-old husband, son, father, and best friend to Ashley was lost that day. Now, 3 months later, Ashley's family has lost their main source of income because Dwayne was the waterman and the breadwinner of the family and would bring in the income by being out on the boat. The family has had to sell the boat. The mother, Bobby Joe, is still trying to pick up the pieces, and all the while this was happening, Ashley's GPA, because of all of this melee, dropped below the minimum requirement, and she lost her scholarship to the University of Baltimore. Well, Ashley's fiance, Ryan, has taken on some of the financial burden by working 2 jobs for the both of them, while Ashley has taken out several loans. I can still see that she is mentally, physically, and emotionally exhausted, and while as long as I've known her, she has never been the person to ask for help or to go out of her way. She's always tried to take every challenge head on. But in this case, I am happy to be a voice for her, to get her story heard, and to try and get her some help. Which brings me back to you, Ellen. It seems so unfair that people always come to you for money or vacations, cars, whatever it may be. But I think that they keep doing that because you continuously prove and demonstrate over and over again that good things come to those who deserve it. And I don't know anyone more deserving of a break than Ashley Simmons. So I am asking you to help me share Ashley's story. Naturally, she has absolutely no idea that I'm doing this or reaching out to you, or she would try to stop me. But she watches you every day, she has read everything you've ever written, and she says that by watching you, she is filled with new strength every time. So, if you made it through this whole video with me, thank you very much. I know you are a very, very busy woman, but I hope I get the chance to hear back from you soon for the sake of Ashley. Thank you.